going on, everyone? When it comes to Kyrie Irving, we all know that he wants to be a Los Angeles Laker, that he opted into his contract so that way he didn't miss out on $30 million and now is forcing his way to the Los Angeles Lakers. All of the writing's been on the wall. We know the trade is happening. Kevin Durant even requested a trade. So all signs point to Kyrie Irving going to the Lakers at some point, whether it's this season or he signs with the Lakers next season. Everything indicates. All of the big name people have all talked about this trade potentially happening. But could they all just be completely wrong and just completely clueless? Because a report coming in from the New York Post says that that Kyrie Irving actually wants to stay with the Brooklyn Nets rather than being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Even if the Brooklyn Nets trade Kevin Durant, he still wants to stay with the Brooklyn Nets. And you might think this sounds absolutely ridiculous and crazy. Well, guess what? You'd be right. I'm going to read some of the reports because this is just primetime reporting by the New York Post. So here you go. Here's the first part. How did we get into this situation about a trade when he opted in? The source asked Lewis rhetorically. Here's the situation. He opted in, which means he had and he has every intentions of playing with the Brooklyn Nets. KD decides he wants out, and now everybody is talking about trading Kyrie, right? Hang on, there's more. Kyrie has not asked for a trade. Now, if the Nets don't want him, that's something totally different. Kyrie has not said he wants a trade. He opted in. So where did the trade conversations come from? Is it because KD requested a trade and now everybody let's trade Kai? Kyrie opted in. So right then and there, again, some random source, the trust me bro source is the one that's coming in saying that all these reports about Kyrie Irving requesting a trade, all the reports of Kyrie telling the Nets as well as his entire camp telling all of the other teams he is going to the Lakers, regarding the reports and even videos of all the clues of Kyrie Irving wanting to go to the Lakers, even him telling people at the Sparks game that he's going to the Lakers real soon. Ignore all of that. None of that matters because the New York Post has a source that tells you that it's all just nonsense. That the only reason Kyrie Irving opted in was because he wanted to be a Brooklyn Net. This article is journalism at its finest. It completely forgoes all of the other facts, such as Kyrie Irving opted in because if he didn't, he misses out on $30 million. Is he really going to leave $30 million on the table? No, nobody's going to do that. Now, is there a chance that, let's say the Kevin Durant deal doesn't work out, right? That the Brooklyn Nets don't meet their asking price. They keep Kevin Durant for a year and he doesn't get traded. That maybe Kyrie Irving stays for a year and that gets worked out. And then the hope is, well, if we make it to the conference finals and it's a tough loss, or say we win the NBA championship, maybe they'll both stay and everything will be kind of right in the world again. Yes, of course, that is a possibility, right? No deal is done until it is official. But we know based on all reports and just everything from much credible sources, not some random source that is never named in the article, just some random person, that this trade has been discussed, this trade is in the works, that both sides know where they stand, all of that. And look, you got to take these posts and really hone in on where would this be coming from? It's a New York Post, right? So Brooklyn, wouldn't they be in the best interest to say, hey, let's put a report out there. Let's get a source to go and talk to the New York Post and say, Kyrie wants to stay. Hey, have you seen Kyrie go to Staples Center and get on the mic in front of 30,000 fans and say he wants to be traded? No, he hasn't. So that means he doesn't want to be traded until the day he goes out there and he comes on a mic and says, I'm going to the Lakers. I want to be traded to the Lakers. That means he is going to be a Brooklyn Net and he wants to be in Brooklyn. No, especially if you trade Kevin Durant. If you trade Kevin, the whole reason he went to Brooklyn was to play with Kevin Durant. And that still is not enough for him to want to get traded. I don't think it's a coincidence that Kyrie Irving opted in and Kevin Durant immediately requested a trade. Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are best friends. They both sat down and had a discussion, likely before all of this unfolded. And they both came to the same conclusion. A couple weeks ago, there was a report that Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant were supposed to sit down and have a conversation about their future. And ever since then, the the whole conversation has continued that Kyrie Irving is going to the Lakers. Kyrie Irving has done everything in his power to say, I'm going to the Lakers. The only thing he's not doing is wearing a sign that says, trade me to the Lakers. But he's wearing like Lakers caps and beanies. He's showing up to Sparks games. He's going to the Summer League. And just, he's doing everything he can to show face, to show, hey, look, I want to be a Laker. And Kevin Durant knows this. They've had this conversation. It's not like they just are all clueless. Kyrie and LeBron have probably already talked and worked it out. I think that this deal is farther along than most people think. But we see these conflicting reports, and many people ask me, why do I constantly, bring up these reports, right? If I think the New York Post report is just goofy and it doesn't make any sense, why would I talk about it? Well, first off, one, I'm a content creator, it's YouTube, and all this is about fun and entertainment and having a conversation. But the other thing is to highlight all of these things, because at the end of the day, we don't know for sure. It's all just speculation. It's all just the guessing game. Like I said, nothing is confirmed until it is confirmed. Until Kyrie Irving is officially a Laker, that means it is not official, right? Because we have even seen we've seen deals that were announced, reported, confirmed, everything, and they fell through. I mean, DeAndre Jordan is a great example, right? He was going to the Dallas Mavericks. There was reports, everything. He was signing the contract. And guess what? The day he was supposed to sign the contract, he decided to stay with the Clippers. Last year with the Lakers had a deal done between the Toronto Raptors, the New York Knicks. They were getting ready to finalize the paperwork. And guess what happened? New York said, we want another draft pick. And everyone was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean you want another draft pick? And the deal fell through. Until it is official, it's not official. But the idea that Kevin Durant leaving or staying, whatever happens, Kyrie Irving, Brooklyn is his place? No. If that was the case, he would have signed an extension. He wanted an extension, right? That was the reports originally, right? And he didn't get that extension, right? Brooklyn's done with him. So, and I get it. The report says, well, if Brooklyn's done with Kyrie, that's a different scenario. Like, no. So it's conflicting, right? So let's say, yes, maybe Kyrie did want to be a Brooklyn Net in the beginning. Maybe he did want that extension. They said no, right? That doesn't mean that later he didn't say, okay, well, I'm going to opt in and I want you to trade me. That was the report before this whole firestorm started, was that Kyrie Irving wanted to opt in and then demand a trade. And that's what happened. And then guess what? Kevin Durant demanded a trade. There is no way Kyrie Irving is going to want to stay in Brooklyn if Kevin Durant leaves. There is no way. There is no way Brooklyn would want Kyrie to stay in Brooklyn if Kevin Durant leaves. Like, it's just a matter of when, not if, when it comes to Kyrie Irving's departure from the Nets. And we're going to see a lot more of these reports, all of these conflicting ideas. But it's funny because it's the New York Post, and it's like, you would think they would put a little more credibility out there. They would do a little more diving in and stuff like that, or at least name the source or whatever. It's always like the, trust me, bro, that just makes no sense, because this report goes completely against every other report the last 4 months. But that's why I'm saying I believe this is a report from the Brooklyn Nets, right? Because Kyrie hasn't came out and said, he's told people at the Sparks game, but still, that's just hearsay, right? And then even at the Las Vegas Summer League, all of the conversation is that he is going to Lakers and the deal is done. But again, that's all just hearsay. That's not confirmation. We don't know that for sure. So until Kyrie Irving gets on a podium and says, I'm leaving and going to the Lakers, right? Then you still have those plays that you could throw out there. The Brooklyn Nets could still go and say, hey, guess what? Kyrie actually does want to stay with us. So, hey, we don't have to trade him, right? That's the whole narrative. And we keep seeing these reports. There have been a handful of reports from the Lakers, and it's clearly from the Lakers, or at least a representation of the Lakers. Most of these reports that are coming out, these silly, ridiculous reports, are all clearly coming from the Nets side, because the Nets are trying to gain leverage because the Lakers don't want to include 2 first-round draft picks, and the Lakers have no one to compete with. So it's not like they have to up the ante. We know what the deal is. They know what the deal is. Everybody knows what this trade is going to look like. And Brooklyn, until it's official, is going to do whatever they can to gain whatever extra stuff they can get. The longer they draw it out, the better it is because they have nothing to lose here. It's not like some other team is going to emerge and the Lakers are like, what the Lakers deal is. At the end of the day, it's not going to change. Whether it's a month from now, a year from now, the deal's going to be the same with the Lakers. So why not prolong this and try to figure out what you want to do? And like I said, if Kevin Durant does decide to stay, then maybe you do work it out and maybe Kyrie Irving does stay. I mean, we've seen stuff like that happen before. The most historic one is Kobe Bryant, right? In 2007, Kobe Bryant wanted a trade. The Lakers almost traded him. They decided to play hardball with Kobe. And 2 years later, he wins, he goes to 3 finals, right? So it's like, we've seen this happen before. And Brooklyn, that might be their hope. They might be hoping that maybe if we don't trade Kyrie Irving, maybe we can kind of get Kevin Durant maybe to buy in a little bit. Kyrie Irving, he's like, all right, fine, I'll run one more season with you guys, because we're not doing the trade, and then I'll just sign with the Lakers next season. And you do this run. If it doesn't work, Kyrie leaves. Okay, whatever. We lost Kyrie, which I think would be silly because you're losing those draft picks. But also, you talking about if we win, maybe they all stay and they work it out, and now everyone's bought in, and it was worth it. All of this was worth it in the end. But I just think that this is going to be a disaster. I think if Brooklyn tries to keep Kyrie, you're dealing with nothing but a headache. I don't see this. I think this is just a silly report that makes no sense. But that's me personally. So as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think about this report? Do you buy it? Do you not buy it? Do you think it's total nonsense? The trust me bro source. Do you think this is ridiculous? It goes completely against every credible source we've heard the last 2 months. So I just don't buy it. I just don't believe it. Or do you think, no, maybe there really is something to it? Maybe Kyrie really does want to stay in Brooklyn, even though he's done everything publicly he can to show that, You also don't want to get in trouble. You also don't want to get fined. You also don't want all that stuff, tampering, stuff like that. Stuff has to be low key. Kyrie Irving can only do and say so much. So he's done, in my opinion, everything he can to show I'm going to go to the Lakers one way or another. I'm confident that Kyrie and LeBron have talked. I'm confident that Kyrie and Kevin Durant have talked. I'm sure everybody knows the situation and what is going on. But again, we'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this, dedicated to only the Lakers, because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.